guys! I thought that I would share 10 of my favorite books with you today. I have always felt that a person's favorite books and why they like them can tell you a lot about that person, so I thought this would be a super fun way for you to get to know me. One disclaimer I have is that this isn't like a definitive list of 10 of my favorite books, nor is it in a particular order. To be quite honest, although there are some books on this list that will always be there, some of these books will kind of come and go depending on the day and even my mood. So, maybe it'd be super fun for in the future if I redid this and we could see how it changed. Anyway, this is the list of books that I'm feeling right at this moment, so let's get started. The first book on this list is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now look, okay, I know this is kind of cliche, but I read this when I was in middle school and it just became my favorite just like that. Like, no hesitation. I read it, I was like, ooh, this is my new favorite book. So, I just really love the witty and clever storyline, and the characters are just so likable, but also flawed. I relate so much to Lizzie, and let's be real, Mr. Darcy is such a well-crafted love interest. Not only is he interesting, but he is complex. I was originally just going to say dreamy, but I thought that was kind of simplifying him a little bit. As you can see, I have multiple editions. This one is super pretty and it goes with some leather-bound editions that I have, but this version is annotated. So I just really love that. You learn so much more about the book just by reading the annotations. I highly recommend it. So anyway, if you have not read this book, please read it. I'm sure you have though, it's so common, but it's so good, so it's so worth it. My second pick for this list is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. There's really just something so delightful about this book and story. It's like it was woven out of light and happiness. It affected me so much that after I read it, I walked around acting like Anne for a while, which I discovered is actually a super common experience. Like, all of my friends who read it did the same thing. It must be like Anne of Green Gables syndrome. Very serious stuff. As you can see, I also have 2 editions of this. This is my Sterling Classics edition, which goes with that collection, which you can actually see a little bit of over there. But this version is just so beautiful. The cover is beautiful, but also inside they have all these really nice illustrations that I always just really loved. So I really love both of these editions, but this one's really special. You have to read this. If you haven't, you're missing out on all the wonderful, happy light that is this book. Next, we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I don't even like dystopia, but I love this book. I actually used to call it the last good book because not only was it the last book I read before my middle school reading hiatus, but even into high school, it was like the last book to elicit a strong emotional reaction from me, which was crazy because honestly, there's so many things stylistically about this book that I don't usually like, but Suzanne Collins pulled it off so well. I am so deep into this fandom. I love this book so much, and I'm so excited to get back into it this year with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Fourth on the list, we have The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I actually mentioned in an earlier video that when I was younger, I was determined to find my way to Narnia, so you can guess how much of an impact this book had on me. I have this beautiful edition that has all the stories in the order that they were meant to be read, and although The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe has always been my favorite, the whole series has this feel-good magic that just makes it so fun to read, and the characters are so great. I know that this story really isn't in vogue anymore, but I will always cherish it. Next up, we have The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. I don't even know where to start. When I say that this trilogy is golden, I mean that it's pure gold. I feel like I can relate to every single one of these characters. I've never loved a found family more. And the plot is just so fascinating. I truly grew up feeling like the kids from the Mysterious Benedict Society had my back, and that was just such a happy feeling. Look, all I'm saying is that if you haven't read this book, you need to remedy that immediately. Also, the cover art is beautiful. The sixth book in this list is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Let me just tell you that the aesthetic of this book is immaculate. Even though it takes place over a span of time that goes through multiple seasons, it has this lovely autumn aesthetic that I adore. I also really love the characters, especially Colin. And I used to pretend that I had this rich British uncle that I never met. So, good memories, this book. Let's hear it for The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It's decadent, it's tragic, it's wild. Oscar Wilde. I honestly have a hard time describing this book to people who haven't read it, so all I can say is it's extremely rich. I refer to it too often in conversations, and you should definitely read it. Next up, we have The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This book is like a Lana Del Rey song. Or maybe I only think that because she had a song in the 2013 movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not sure, but either way, this book is like a piece of Americana that's beautiful and bittersweet, and I think that everybody should read it. At number 9, we have The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. Okay, so this is a book told both in illustrations and words. I loved it when it came out, and I've reread it and loved it again. I will say that I don't know if I would like this book as much if it weren't such a novel concept and if it didn't have so much nostalgic power over me, but it was a novel concept and it is cloaked in nostalgia, so here we are. Last but not least by any means, I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is actually one of my more recent reads, but I just loved it so much. The writing is atmospheric and dreamy, which has actually become something that I've really been looking for in my books lately. And if I could describe the characters in one word, it would be delicious. I know that makes no sense, but I can't think of anything else. They're just so scrumptious. I will say that Morgenstern's writing kind of caters to a reader who is really involved with literature as a whole, so her writing is not for everyone, but I mean, that's me. I am like madly in love with literature, so I love her writing. Well, that brings us to the end of our list. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Also, comment below with any books that you think that I would like based on this list. Toodaloo! I really feel like this was like the randomest list of books to ever be thrown together.